What's this black spot on Stinger Flynn? You can see it both in the big jellyfish and the small one. To find an answer to that question, we'll need to delve into Stinger Flynn's past, which is exactly what I'm gonna do now. Let's go. Flynn didn't grow that big all at once. Like all Javanese monsters, Sting started out small, the way they designed him to be. But just like the case 12G, Mint Fiddles, Sting however showed massive growth and became the most gigantic monster in the Banban universe at the time of the release of this video, of course. Stinger Flynn is so far the first character we meet face to face without any negative consequences. It didn't cause us much problems. Plus, as a bonus, we get inside his head and see his memories, actually only 2 episodes. And one weird dream where Sting together with Banban Fiddles and Apella drive to the beach. Honestly, to this day, I can't make sense of that dream. What's the meaning? And what kind of beach is that? It could be anything, right up to a reference to some mythology. But that's not the point right now. We still remember those 2 flashbacks, and we can always go through them again. And they take us back to time when Sting first came out, you might say. At least he regained consciousness in this room with the shells and guns, and escaped from there. That's weird, cause someone lost his keycard. Probably the worker was carrying Sting. And the fact is that this is probably his first appearance in this room and the first appearance in the kindergarten. This is confirmed by the reaction of Banban and Slow Solian. They treat him like a new guest, like they see him for the first time. And the board showing slaps, handshakes and stings is absolutely clean, indicating that this is the earliest Sting time. Since we're discussing this flashback, I'd like to bring up the viewer's speculation. Some of them believe that Banban is the one who could left this black spot when he looked for Sting's insides. In theory, that could be the reason why he hates Banban that much. That seems reasonable. But the nature of the black spot is very confusing, and it looks like some kind of charcoal burn or something. The spot itself is made up of many specks, and all of them smudged in one direction. It could have been charred wires, and Sting simply jerked away when it got burned, making the spot smudged. It's unlikely that Banban could leave a spot like that, but now we know what happens to monsters when they get burned. The spot blurs upwards, which implies that Sting ran into something hot, while he was moving up, and jerked back down when it felt the pain. But when did it happen, and why? Unfortunately, there's no option to look at the character from the side in the game, but there's still reflective surfaces. And alas, we can't actually see the character in them to check if there's a spot on Sting. In this flashback, it's just not provided by the game, and we can't figure out the approximate time when the spot appeared, whether it occurred at the time Sting was made or later, but it's still possible to build a timeline of events in Sting's life. So, Stinger Flynn escaped when there were no notes on the board, and when we got to the kindergarten in his room, the notes had already been there, so the jellyfish was coming back there again, and how they returned him and what else happened at that moment, we don't know. And the incident that made the burn could have happened at that period as well. But since we haven't found Sting in this room, probably he started growing big at that time and they moved him to quote-unquote pool. Which is kind of shocking. Honestly, I was expecting to see water in there, but the poor Sting was just sitting on the concrete floor. By the way, I'd probably like to get a closer look at Sting. So, for example, when he was meditating, his eye was looking inward just like humans do when they're sleeping. I also noticed a couple of abrasions or some kind of bruises. It's not really clear, and there's a huge blurry suture on the inside. Actually, there's another abrasion right next to it, and the stripe that looks like a bruise or a badass scar, you probably remember that. Why so many injuries? Apparently monsters fight each other on a regular basis when they meet. So this black spot could have been caused by a monster clash in some kind of technical room. Unfortunately, there were no exposed wires to be found throughout the game. But there was a very impressive Javanium injection machine. And it's likely that we'll get to the origin of this black spot in future chapters, and the developers will clarify this moment. Let's analyze the possible reasons for the appearance of this spot. As the most probable one, I still consider accidental origin of this spot, but it could also be, for example, a punishment for escaping for the first time. Also, maybe Banban somehow managed to leave the spot, however, it happened not at their first meeting, but later on. Moreover, Waverly Mason could have left the spot somehow, because, as it was stated in one of the children's notes, the teacher hated the jellyfish for some reason. Maybe that hatred started a long time ago, and she was trying to kill Sting. At least we shouldn't exclude this option. All these reasons are rather speculative, and I still think the reason is simple. Given the nature of the spot, the burn was an accident. nowhere in the notes or in the Stinger Flynn's cases. And this is case 13, it says nothing about getting the spot. Maybe even the research workers were unaware of when it happened. By the way, there's an interesting fact. I didn't know where to put it, but Sting has its own door in the assembly room, and oddly enough, it's pretty small. Even smaller than Apilla's door, and it will be really challenging for the current Sting to fit through it. Whether Sting ever participated in those assemblies is unknown, and unfortunately the game doesn't reveal the purpose of this strange room. But for some reason, when passing it, you can get to the lower levels by going through the Apilla's walkway. There's another parallel way by the elevator, but it's unclear where it comes from. Also, if you pay attention more broadly, there are only those monsters on the ceiling that could somehow get there vertically. We know that Nab crawls on the walls. Slow Celine does too, theoretically Sting as well. And Sheriff Toadster apparently also has some sort of sticky ability, but we'll talk about him later. Subscribe if you like this video and see you around.